All right. Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Thank You for Sharing. If you're watching today, you'll see that I'm not in my normal space. This is my first time with my guest, Jon Bonus. Man, welcome on the show.
What's up?
So, man, tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jon Bonus. I'm a producer from Atlanta, Georgia. Moved to Savannah to open up this studio here.
Yeah.
That's where I met Chris, too. It's at the Plant Riverside District in Savannah. It's called District Live Studios.
It's a nice setup.
It's been a long journey here. The Kesslers built this incredible district here, and there's a Live Nation venue. There's tons of food outlets. And
It's amazing, yeah.
it's just crazy. If you're in Savannah, you got to come down
gotta
here.
check it out. It's a nice
we're right on the
property.
river, big boats going by.
Yeah.
Tons of people, tons of vibe, rooftop
Dinosaur in the
bars.
hotel.
It's dope. It's hard. Yeah, it's
man.
like what the city was missing for like some of the new, modern type vibe because they take such pride on like the historical.
Yeah, so
know.
it's good to have like something new and something fresh that still, can kind of incorporate all of that together.
It's a must see if you come to Savannah. You gotta come to Plant Riverside.
for sure.
This isn't even like a. This is why I'm here. Right?
Yeah.
Like if this place was just in the middle of nowhere, like some guy wanted to open a studio somewhere, probably wouldn't be down here. But because they did such a good job here,
and it's such a nice location.
Yeah, it's hard. So, I came down here at the beginning of this year to open up the studio, kind of basically inhabit it, bring it to life.
Yeah, and
bring some of my work here, attract work from the area.
Yeah.
Make it a viable, like, creative space that is industry standard, but also it makes money. So
you talk about the industry. You mentioned, I guess, kind of like a couple of the accomplishments you had, working in the industry.
Yeah, I've been fortunate just to make a living off of producing for a while. I started out in Atlanta with, it's, college bedroom, M boxes with a Mac laptop. Luckily, I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and so luckily they had like a music recording not a minor, but like as part of the music minor program, they had music recording and technology or something like 1 or 2 classes.
Yeah,
and the rest were like, I was playing piano in the what is it called? It's like the orchestra. You had to do like music theory, music history. It was kind of like your minor.
Yeah, and your major wasn't even music. That's the crazy thing I think about to this
day. It was international affairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So man, I'm very fortunate to have you on. I kind of did my research. I read the article the other day, and so man, it's just cool. It talked about you working with Post Malone, Justin Bieber, and one I didn't know. As much as we talk, I didn't know that you helped produce an episode like on the episode of The Office.
Oh,
like a song.
I got a song on
Dude,
The Office,
I'm a huge Office fan.
Yeah, it's
so when
weird
I found
because that one's a cool one. That was I can't lie. Like Office is one of the best shows ever. So when I got the news, it was like. No way.
Dream come true.
But it's not also, I'll be honest, like the sync world, I could talk about the sync world all day, but like, it was not like they featured the song, like it was like a scene. Yeah. And it was like a memorable scene.
Man, hey.
No, I'm grateful, but I don't want to like hype it. I'm not a hype guy anyway, but like I don't want to hype it up.
You're
like,
humble.
So
you're
much.
humble.
It's in the background of like a scene where they're doing like a warehouse party.
Yeah, dude. It's cool.
So it's cool, but it's like it's not like
No, but it's
like the Friends theme song.
I was an extra in the movie, and I'll be proud about that to this day because you've had a hand in that success.
Yeah.
So when I met Jon, we talk all the time, and so when I was telling him about this podcast and just wanting to kind of talk music, very rare do I find people that can talk music, and I know you could talk circles around me. You being a producer yourself, so
there's no such thing.
So man, just kind of talk about some projects that kind of inspired you to kind of want to be a producer.
So we kind of talked a little bit about it. This is how this whole thing came up, right?
It is.
So Atlanta, project-wise, Outkast, like huge Outkast fan. I don't know how you can be from Atlanta and not like
come on,
and it's funny because they're like kind of getting into that like era of like some people really don't know who Outkast is.
And and when they were first, little factoid, when they first came out, they were not received well, even when they got their Grammy, and that whole iconic Andre 3000 speech is pretty cool.
Which is crazy because like if you're in Atlanta, it was the best music. Like
if
you're not from Atlanta, like it's like. They were playing it on the radio all the time, and it was cool because they had Braves jerseys on. Like it was like one of the first people to have like Braves, like Andre 2000 has like a Braves jersey in the Play His Ball video. He's got like a cool gray Braves.
You got it tattooed on you.
Yeah, I got Braves. Like, so if you're like from Atlanta and you grew up there, '90s World Series, they were always in the World Series. They were always in the playoffs.
Yeah, the Olympics, all of that was there,
so
man. That's pretty
cool.
The
fact that Outkast came out. And like they were wearing the Atlanta stuff. That was kind of new. You can go on to speak a little. That's like a side thing about like the history of like Atlanta.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
But I
thing.
won't even say it's Atlanta because like by that time you had like Babyface was in town.
Yeah.
You had Dallas Austin. You still had all the TLC.
That is crazy.
Tony Braxton
dude.
was recording. LaFace down there. I think I just said that. But
so just all those different like inspirations.
A lot of R&B was coming out of there, and so was hip hop. And then that's what like ushered into. Speaking of ushered, like ushered into the next era.
No pun intended.
Almost like everything was coming out of Atlanta. Like it was touched by Atlanta.
Yeah, and that's cool. We even talked a little bit of the miseducation of Lauryn Hill.
Yep.
And what we're going to talk about today is N.E.R.D, man.
Yeah, we were talking about albums, and I'd say like Miseducation's like one of my top albums. Voodoo, D'Angelo.
Yeah.
But as far as production wise, I can't lie. Of course, in that time, there's like Timbaland.
Yeah.
But Timbaland's a big influence on me too. But the bigger one is Neptune.
And it's funny because you were naming these projects, and I feel like especially a lot of people I want to say my age is like aging you or anything, but a lot of people my age, we don't. The album came out like the early 2000s, so a lot of people are not familiar with N.E.R.D. And so the last couple of years, I've just kind of, I'm a big fan of Tyler, the Creator, and he always, cites them for a lot of his inspiration. And so when I was kind of doing my research, it kind of made me go on this thing where I was just kind of like so influenced by Pharrell and his like fashion sense and stuff like that. And I would listen to N.E.R.D. And so, a lot of people don't know that album my age. And so, like In Search of, their first album is what we're talking about specifically. What songs do you feel like kind of gravitate to you on the album?
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot,
There's
dude.
so many. Like I think really the crazy thing about the album is that yes, if you like didn't grow up listening to that music, like Pharrell.
Yeah,
Pharrell's like an icon now, creative
fashion,
icon, like creative designer, fashion, Louis Vuitton now. It's crazy.
I'm happy for him.
But when they came out as producers, I mean, he's even gone way back too, like all I want to do is zoom, zoom. He's like already 90s. Been in the studios with Teddy Riley, with like some of these other big producers.
Yeah,
writing,
back in the 90s.
He would be writing verses. He would be writing hook ideas. So him as a producer is definitely one of my role models. Like as a producer for sure. Like he sings concepts while he's also trying to make the vibe and play the part. He can write lyrics, and that's probably my main avenue is like, as a producer, are you gonna come up with the hook theme, or the coolest hook line, or what's the concept of the song be? But also, you have to be able to compose and like make beats.
That's cool.
There's so many aspects, whether it's beat making versus, beat making versus just like getting the right people in the same room, like a Diddy.
Yeah, or like production. How Kanye kind of does.
Or Kanye's like flipping samples where like he's not necessarily playing it, but like he'll put the best drums you've ever heard on a sample and flip it, It's
crazy. Pharrell's been around a lot, like you said, a long time. I think he was kind of ushered in the New Jack Swing era. A lot of people don't know. It's kind of like when him and Chad kind of got signed.
Right.
And then now you kind of have their fruition of, them as Neptunes, and then now they have this creative thing is N.E.R.D. And dude, man, this album, I think what kind of made it stick out to me is ultimately the production. Like it is the sounds on it. And I was listening to it, revisiting it, like listening to it the last couple of days, and kind of like what kind of really stuck to me, as much as the Neptunes are kind of known for their futuristic sounds, there's a lot of live instrumentation on this album of just kind of like instruments that, everyday people will kind of, recognize. And so for them to bring in kind of like something that everyone recognizes, but kind of add like their own flip onto it, it's kind of crazy, man.
If you were there when it came out, the coolest part was like, so you could still figure it out, like if you had heard all the hits. So like you start hearing all the hits, like, oh my gosh, like we were just talking about, it's almost impossible to get, like there's like Drop It Like It's Hot, Snoop, Slave for You. Like they were the hottest thing, like them and Timbaland basically at the time. People were just going to them for songs. Yeah. And there's like a legendary thing where it's like they're talking about getting 300,000 for a beat or something like that.
Yeah, I think in 2004, 2003, someone can fact check me, but they had probably like 70% of the songs on the radio that was produced by
like Nelly, Hot in Here, like these massive songs. Yeah. Nelly, Hot in Here, Slave for You. They had Justin Timberlake, Rock Your Body. Like we can just keep naming
Jay-Z, like they got hits forever.
They had Ludacris, Southern Hospitality, Ludacris.
Dang.
Like, and you just knew, like when you hear the beat, when you like heard it for the first time, you were like, "What is this?" Like it like hit different. The sound was different. The syncopation of the kick with the snare.
Yeah, that's
grinding.
And that's what I was gonna ask you. I was gonna and grinding with clips.
Like, those beats are crazy. Like you never, nobody was thinking like that.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, is there a motif or something in this album that kind of sticks out with you in terms of like maybe like some repetition of something that they use, like, because I feel like every artist has something that makes their, like, if you hear a Pharrell beat, it's produced by him, or like everyone has their kind of like their telltale sign. Is there anything in this album that kind of sticks with you as a producer, or just something
all day? Yeah. So the like if. Again, like coming like from the development of hearing all the hits, you could tell it's a Pharrell, Chad's the partner, Chad Hugo, Filipino, shout out Philippines. He's like definitely one of my like idols, but you hear their stuff, so obviously the drums are like the foundation knocking, right? Yeah. But like the sounds they would use, speaking of motif, they would use motifs, they would use tritons. Like back then, it wasn't like not DAW, but like it wasn't like virtual instruments.
Yeah, no,
it was like from the keyboard. We have a Phantom right here, but you would actually take the sound and work it in the workstation, and then like spit it out just like an MPC into whatever. So into the computer or into whatever that they're tracking in. And you were like almost limited by the sounds that the hardware could make, So when you hear some of these sounds like the
spacey sounds.
Yeah, so they would use a lot of Triton sounds, and then like that guitar sound, like that guitar, like it's hard to explain without showing it, but you can hear it on like NSYNC Girlfriend. Almost every Neptunes beat has this like kind
of like pushing the song in a sense. It kind of gives you like that Russian feeling.
So that's like a guitar sound on the Triton. And what happened when N.E.R.D. came out was like you're so used to these like same sounds, and I don't want to be too nerdy, but like it's kind of like a chromatic. It's just like they're just chromatic little steps like up and down. It's very basic, right? But it gives it that kind of like dark sound. Yeah. So when N.E.R.D. came out, you were like, oh my God, this is the same kind of concepts, but now they're using a real guitar. Yeah. Instead of it being like dun, 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 it's like because that's almost like a funk. They're trying to like recreate a funk type guitar. Yeah. But they can't play, I don't believe. So they're playing it on the keyboard. So instead of like a jank, right? They're doing it like dun, 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 dun. So it doesn't sound like a real guitar by any means, but it gives it the same like rhythm for it.
Yeah, and I feel like it gives it to. This album has a rock feel kind of to it. It's kind of like it's so many genres of songs on this album that you cannot even begin to kind of pinpoint.
It's definitely kind of rock. Like it's more rock where
but like a hip hop penmanship to
element.
it.
Yeah.
Because you have Pharrell on a lot of the songs. It's kind of like the lead vocalist, and he's kind of like, you know, talking about a lot of things that, you know, rappers would talk about, but over these like rock type beats. So he's kind of like flexing on people, but like in a different beat. And, you know, I think when you listen to a lot of songs, you can pinpoint what year did they come from, but this is something that's kind of like ageless. Like you can listen to it today and it's not going to be clearly, oh, this is a song from the 2000s, you know, like it's like, where can I even put it? It's just so in its own category. Like, and I think that's true about good music. It's timeless, you know? And so things like that, man, like it just really sticks out to me, man, especially Pharrell's. I mean, it's so many funny, like either one-liners on this album or the lyrics to this album it's funny, it's clever, it's things that are still relevant today. Like I think that's the crazy part
like
to me.
It's kind of like alternative hip hop, like kind of like Outkast again, like almost alternative, but they have enough to have like hit. They have enough like mainstream appeal to be able to do like a hit song, like Lap Dance. Like almost everybody knows Lap Dance. You know what I mean?
And I like that song specifically because it's like a euphemism for like politics, and it's like, I just like that we could talk about these certain topics, but in a fun way. So kind of in a weird way, you know, if anyone really digs like deep into it, they can have like a serious conversation, or maybe a more like, because I mean, he talks about that. He talks about like, it's a lot of like romance on this album. Like it's a lot of like flexing, and then it's a lot of, it's really rich in storytelling. It's you know, if you were to kind of create a central theme for this album, you can't, in my opinion, in terms of like penmanship, because it's one song about romance, one song, you know,
like a movie almost. Like a movie with different scenes without necessarily tying it, but
but I mean, also, I mean, like you said, the production is maybe what makes it come together, is like cohesively come together.
It's because you're familiar with like some of the stuff they do, but now you're hearing it with a live drum. Like Pharrell will play the drums or something, and Shay will play the drums. So those are like the main characters, right? Like Shay, Chad, Pharrell, and then I was telling him, Andrew, shout out Andrew Coleman if you ever randomly see this. So Andrew Coleman's like he's like the fourth invisible member of N.E.R.D, because he like worked with Chad and Pharrell as Neptune's producers, where he would do a lot of the engineering, a lot of the sound design with Chad, or like getting the files together, and like if Pharrell sent something in separate, he would like kind of blend them together to make what the idea come true. But then with N.E.R.D, he was like part of the process with the recording, all the actual sounds and songs. So he doesn't get enough credit, but he's Grammy winning, and he's just a good dude. That's the best part about him. He's just chill, good dude. We'll text you. We'll say what's up. He's not too good for.
And I like that, man. And just what N.E.R.D has done, a lot of people, you know, like I say, you know, inspired Tyler, Creator. It's just crazy how I imagine when they came out with this album, they didn't know how influential it would be. You know,
just making music.
They're just making music and kind of like in their own lane. And if anyone's a fan of Pharrell, man, he always talks about authentic, you know, being an authentic person. And so it works in this sense, because his authentic self kind of shows in this album, because like we said, it's timeless. It can't be recreated. You know, it can only influence like another generation of music. And it definitely, you know, for that to be dropped in like 2003, I was like 3 years old.
It's like crazy, right?
How was that like, you know, to kind of be in a time where like music like that was dropping?
I mean,
like, do you think people,
there was so much that they were putting out that it almost got lost a little bit?
I was going to ask, do you think people recognize that?
There's so much. Definitely like fans. I mean, some of that's like skater crowd and like rocker kind of crowd definitely like loved it, because it was kind of like you could still do like a mosh a little bit, like Warped Tour type crowd. It's like a little right before Warped Tour, but like around that rock crowd. I think that's also what probably they like doing it too, because now it's more of a live thing instead of just like production in a studio, then a rapper takes
it's like stadium. Like he even talks about it, stadium music. Like that's the one thing he always uses. And I think that's cool, because if you notice in hip hop today, they have a couple of new artists like this guy named Ken Carson or Destroy Lonely. They're kind of going back to that rock star route in terms of like making music that people can mosh to and things like that. So it's crazy how
like
things,
Travis, right? Like Travis, has that,
yeah, man. Like
it's definitely more produced, but like produced like electronic, but not as much live instrument. But yeah, it has the same energy.
Yeah, that mosh energy, and so it's kind of cool to see all these things kind of come back full circle. Mm-hmm. And so like, I don't know. Do you feel like in music that there's ever like, is there ever a trend that you look and be like, okay, this may be gone, but it'll come back around again?
All the time. I mean, you're pretty much looking for anything that like moves you. I think that's like the best landing point to get to is like, what moves you? What do you like doing?
Yeah.
So when you think about like what sound's gonna come back around, it's not to say you're like trying to like be trendy.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, this song, like I remember this song, like this moved me. Can I try this now?
Yeah.
You know, let me just try it. It's a big influence on me. Let me try. You know, like Hitmaker's doing everything Diddy did back. Yeah. So when Diddy was coming out, he's flipping all these like 70s disco songs.
And Hitmaker's doing it with like 90s.
So now even closer. Yeah. So like that's the thing. Our perception of time is crazy because like Diddy would do 70s, 80s. Like even to the biggest hit of Every Breath I Take, like that's an 80s song. So he put that out maybe right? barely 20 years after it came out, right? But now we're hearing Hitmaker flip like a 05 song, 2010 song, and you're like, that's crazy. We just heard that, and you're like, no, it's kind of like 15 years old.
Yeah,
and that's the time when N.E.R.D. came out. So like this style, you're actually hearing some N.E.R.D. Neptunes type songs coming back out. Yeah, the Madonna Weekend popular song, that drum beat is
popular.
So there's a Coil Ray song. It might be Bops.
Yeah.
Is it Bops?
I think so. I kind of
listen to Coil Ray, Bops, and Madonna Weekend popular. Those are Neptunes. Yeah. But because they were so prolific, the whole sound of that era becomes 2000s.
Yeah. But that's crazy though. They are an era. And you talk about not only that song with Madonna and Playboi Carti, which is a crazy collaboration. Right. Good song though. The Neptunes specifically from N.E.R.D, they kind of they threw their hat back in the ring because they kind of were working on their own projects, and then they're coming back, and they produced Hit Different with for SZA and that song and Wasting Time with Drake and Brent Faiyaz. They
Brent
produced
Faiyaz
that.
For sure. Yep.
So it's kind of cool to see them keep their. It's kind of cool to see them be relevant in this time. I mean, they've always been relevant.
Yeah, but it's
with
like,
today's artists.
Some people, we won't name names, want to be a positive, but there are definitely some producers from different eras that sound like their sound was so unique, but I saw someone on Instagram talking about like it didn't age well.
Nah,
so some of them don't age well. Like it's hard to. They as producers aged well because like they're still making hits now. Yeah. But those songs from that day aren't necessarily like as connecting now because it was like very of that time. Yeah. Whereas it's weird with the Neptunes. I don't know. I feel like they kind of transcended it because obviously TikTok and Instagram can help you like bring back older music, but yeah, they still play. They're still playing Hot in Here.
Hot in Here.
They're still playing like
Frontin'.
They're still playing Front. They're still playing Drop It Like It's Hot.
Yeah,
these are good songs.
All of these songs are like you said are being kind of like chopped up into different forms of stuff now with like club mix and So it's just really cool, I guess, to see the influence of the Neptunes in today's time, and I think I kind of wanted to bring you in to talk about it because I can relate to it from like me just being a fan of music. You know from a way, and you're also a fan. But like it's cool that you can see it from a technical aspect. And like I don't know, I don't want to say see it deeper. I'm definitely a fan, but you're definitely gonna pick up, because that's
angle.
your world.
It's a different angle, and especially because like they are one of my biggest influences, if not like the biggest influence, because it was like so easy as a producer to get into it and be like, oh, okay, cool, I can like play this on the keyboard sounds and make it. That's all they're doing. That's how they did it. It wasn't that special of a trick. Now, of course, you learn now like how good they were, because it's not just a keyboard into a laptop.
Yeah, it's way much more.
It's like outboard gear. They were so good at, like Andrew again being part of that, like so good at sound design, like getting the drums to knock. Like you could give all of us a room of producers the same sounds, and they're gonna make it sound the best.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And I think it's cool because I wanted to kind of like bring on a project that, you know, you're passionate about. Like I'm sure as a producer, everyone, you know, kind of ask you about like, what are you doing and things of that nature. But I kind of wanted to create a platform where you could talk about the things that kind of inspired you, because I mean, art, you know, us as artists, you know, you being a producer, me an artist, or me an actor, and even this podcast, you know, I think it's very important to show where you got your inspiration from. A lot of people act like, you know, they just woke up with this magnificent idea, and you know, it's okay to show your inspiration for things, but still create something that is of your own.
Right. I mean, that's where the cycle is. It's like, you're so unique as an artist or creator, as a human, because all your influences, no other person has the same influence that you did from your childhood, what your mom and dad played in the car while you were growing up. What did your friends play? What part of the country did you grow up in?
Yeah.
Like, what sport did you play? What instrument did you play?
All this kind of stuff.
You're uniquely like you, and like to bring it back, like to wrap it up, it's like what Pharrell said. It's like you are unique, you are authentic, and you have to do what is like part of you, like what makes you uniquely you.
Exactly.
We can go totally way down this rabbit hole as a producer when an artist comes to me and says, well, I want to do this, that's not me, this isn't me, this isn't me. There's like a weird balance of like, all right, if you're going to do you and you don't care about anything else, I support it. Yeah. Don't have zero expectations. Don't worry about audience reception. Don't worry about Instagram listens, viewers, Spotify listens, spins. Throw that out the window. Just do you as best you can. And if it connects, it's going to be a home run. Yeah. And so that's the way. But if you're going to come to me and say, I really want like something that will connect, that can help reach the bigger audience, you know? Yeah. Then that's when we're going to like find the things that might work of you as an artist. This line is great. You sound the best singing here. Let's take the best parts of this that I feel will be able to reach the most people. Exactly. Right? And honestly, if you were to tell me I want to make the most money, I'd be like, I don't know. I might not be that guy. Like, I don't know. Like, nobody knows the secret on how to make the most money. But I would say, like, if that's your motivation, I'm probably not the guy if you were to say, I want to make the most money possible making music. Because then now it's going to go in this weird...
It's not about art anymore.
That means to me, you're not, like, trying to do you. You're just trying to do whatever's going to make the most money.
And that's crazy. You touched on that, on the fact that, you know, if you make something truly unique, people may not, you know, gravitate to it. And a popular artist now, Tizo Touchdown, he's coming out with like a new sound. I'll do like an episode of him or whatever. Yeah. And so, but, you know, some of the advice Tyler, the Creator, gave him before he went on tour was like, hey, when you're out there performing your songs and the crowd is kind of looking at you weird, don't take that as a bad thing. They just don't know how to accept it. And I have friends that make music all the time, and I'm telling them, like, if you truly care about making something unique, then, like you said, if that's the case, don't complain about, you know, audience reception.
You should not. I would direct them to be like, you do not care about this. You just care about making the best possible music that's you, that feels good. Like, to hell with anyone else's opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be the most pure way of making music. Again, you balance it with, like, do you want to make money off your music? Do you want to make a living off of it? There's lots of cool ways to be like, I have a job that pays me money, and I just make my own music. I kind of love that. You know, it's like this weird perception in public that you like have to be so rich just based off your music. Yeah. Now, if that's your goal, that's cool. But there's other ways to do it that, like, you have a gift that someone pays you to do another job.
Yeah.
And you can still put out dope music. Yeah.
Just to get paid to kind of do your thing. And it's funny you touch on that because kind of one of the last questions I want to kind of run by you is like, as an artist, how do you think, because I mean, this is something you do full time. You're blessed to kind of do full time, to always have your hand in music and things of that nature. How do you feel? Sorry. No, you're good. How do you feel like being an artist have changed your perspective of life?
Being an artist?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's...
I don't know if that's such like
no,
meta question.
I think it's the balance that I was telling you. The balance of wanting to do what like truly makes you, like moves you, makes you happy. That's too broad, but like moves you inside.
Yeah.
But also provide for your family, you know? Like,
the important stuff.
Provide for a roof over your kid's head, you know, like food on the table, and not just that, like kind of thrive, like give your kid the best opportunity in life, you know? So that's where it's changed it, where it's like, you're going to have to take, somebody said this, I can't remember who, sorry if you hear this, but it's somebody somebody that I know. So it's like you take some gigs that feed your belly and then some gigs that feed your soul.
Oh, man.
And so you like some
That's
that,
rich.
Right? So there's going to be some things you're going to compromise on unless you're super lucky in that like top 0.0001% that can just throw anything out there and it gets eaten up by the public and like you make a lot of money off of it. So that's how it's affected me, where it's like, just keep going, just keep making stuff. You're going to figure it out. Tune out all the noise. And that doesn't apply to just being an artist. That applies to every industry. Anybody entrepreneur that's trying to make something.
Same thing. Yeah, I would agree. Just from my little knowledge. Yeah, man, like you say, I've heard the same thing in terms of just, you know, kind of block out the outside noise. So I think it's really cool to see someone, you know, like, you know, we talk all the time, and I am a fan, man, because it's just to see someone who has the privilege to, you know, be able to do what they want to do on any caliber or any level, and, you know, just to have that much dedication towards, man, it's extremely admirable.
Oh, dude, so, you're right there. Everyone has it in there. It's like how you can figure it out. Like, just figure it out. There's going to be sacrifices made.
For sure.
If you're going to do, it's not just this industry, it's any industry. If it's a doctor, a surgeon, lawyer, like there are sacrifices that have to be made to get to where you want to be and make this your life. If this is your life, you maybe aren't like a 9-to-5 type guy.
Yeah,
and
for
maybe
sure.
your family, your wife and kid, if you have one or if you want that, they're going to have to understand that like it's not a 9-to-5 type
ordeal,
job. You might have to be in the studio until 5 a.m. Who knows? You might do 2 weeks in a row with an artist and like you don't see them but for a glimmer of, you know,
but
a night.
If it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But it's like, like you said, I mean, it's that's one thing I feel like a lot of artists can relate, or anybody who's ever like, you know, scared of being an artist. I feel like you said, man, life is going to bring difficulties no matter what you do. So it's like you might as well do something that you enjoy doing.
I think so too. If that's the priority for you, you're going to make it happen. And if you really want to make it, whether it's okay, and it's not all in your hands either. Some people make it at 70. Some people make it at 60. Some people make it when they're 10. Some people, you know what I mean? Like, but you're going to make it. You just have to figure it out. You know? And figure out what path is that you're called to do. And I truly believe that if you want to be an actor, you want to be a singer, you want to be a painter, you want to be a chef, you figure out all the steps to get to where you want to go. So
well, man, I appreciate you so much, brother.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing.